All right, folks, in today's update, we're going to be talking about will Ripple's secrets be revealed for the on-demand liquidity contracts, the price discounts that they were giving to the institutional investors. Will we get it revealed? This is actually one of the few times in this case, well, probably the only time, I guess I can firmly say that this is the only time I actually want the SEC to win on this point. I hope the judge sides with the SEC just so I can selfishly see kind of lift the veil on these on-demand liquidity contracts and the price discounts that Ripple was giving. It would be kind of interesting to see. Obviously, I'd love to see who those partnerships were with as well, right? We had some 1,700 contracts. We know there's NDAs. There's a lot to be unveiled. And if there's anything that I would wish, the SEC would actually win on, it would be that we get to see some of that stuff. But for the success of Ripple, and I understand why they don't want this revealed, I'm going to break it down as we cover the update that we got from James Phelan. But we got to go through the full update, couple of data points to get through, and then we're going to be talking cryptocurrency. So I appreciate all your support. And like I said, everything can be found on my website, ZachRector.com. Starting off here with the situation in Taiwan. We have 38 military aircraft. We have 7 Navy vessels and 4 China Coast Guard vessels detected around Taiwan, Taiwanese Defense Ministry says. So the update over there is basically Taiwan is being completely surrounded, getting a little spicy to say the least. I hate to make a joke out of this conversation, but it is getting tense over there in that region. Once again, the United States of America getting stretched awfully thin these days, and this is what happens when empires are falling. So we're going to continue to monitor that. Speaking of empires falling, we have the reserve currency of the world, the US dollar, which despite the fact that it's actually been gaining, the DXY actually, cooled off a little bit here, but it's actually been up for the past few years. The dollar strength has arrived because the Fed has raised rates at the fastest pace in history, effectively rug pulling Main Street economy. But what's been interesting about this moment in time is that although the dollar's been going up, so has gold. Although the dollar's been going up, so has silver, so has Bitcoin, of course, Nvidia, and this is inflation of all of the assets that we're witnessing right now. But I wanted to hone in right now on an updated gold to silver ratio from Tavi Costa, an important development that happened today. The gold to silver ratio just broke down from a long 13-year upward trend. Silver has been outperforming gold not only on positive days, but particularly on negative ones. If you think a major gold rush won't lead to a silver rush, you probably haven't studied history. That's right, folks. I'm new to this game. I'm learning very quickly. I'm learning how gold and silver traded during the 2000s. We had the introductions of the ETFs, which had played a big part in that, I believe, along with the Great Financial Crisis. And so I'm having to go back and learn all this. But historically, we look at this gold to silver ratio, and we have fallen back down below this trend line that takes us all the way back to 2011, a 13-year upward trend where gold had been dominating silver, and that finally just broke. Now, silver's at $31.63 as I'm recording this. It was back above $32 the past couple days. Watching it holding that $30 support, that's what I want to see. We transitioned to the gold chart, up 23% since the beginning of the year. Not quite as much as the 48% from silver, but definitely still playing its part, playing its role. Gold, $2,334 per ounce. I'm not going to show it in this update, but we're seeing a huge arbitrage opportunity between the West COMEX prices and what they're moving the metal for over in the East, in particular in China, the Shanghai Futures Exchange and the gold exchange there. The arbitrage is incredible. We're seeing silver selling all the way from 35, and I even saw one dealer selling at $40 per ounce equivalent over there in Shanghai. That's where the prices are at over there. Meanwhile, back here in the West, the paper funny money markets, the derivative controlled markets, were still holding very strong at $31, finally playing catch up. And when you look at the silver chart compared to that of gold, compared to that of copper, it just looks strong compared to the other ones, right? Gold chilling, remaining strong above 2,300. A new reality has definitely been set, but the strength in silver I find particularly interesting. If you need precious metals, we have you covered at my website too. You guys already know that deal. Now, insider trading alert. This one from the chair and CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, selling 30,000 BlackRock shares for a total value of $25 million. Obviously, just another CEO selling off some shares is what the news would say, what most people would say, right? Overlooking what this really is and how this was done. In my opinion, this was done by Larry Fink coming on and hyping us all up, saying that cryptocurrencies were going to transcend traditional currencies, pumping up Bitcoin. Now I get it, right? And now they get it, and they get it because now you're seeing when any company announces that they've added a Bitcoin strategy, the stock pumps by 20+% or more. You're seeing just crazy returns on these stocks for these companies that announce a Bitcoin plan, right? They announce, okay, we're going to leverage AI. We don't really know how, but we're just going to throw that out there because that'll sell. That pumps the stock. And then we say, oh, and then we're actually looking at metaverse too. That doesn't pump it as much as it did AI, but that's another marketing ploy that we can send them on. And then we say that we're going to add Bitcoin to our balance sheet. We don't even actually have to do it. We just say we're going to do it. Of course, with BlackRock, they were saying that they had no interest. They were saying it was all criminal. Meanwhile, they were getting their ducks in a row so that they could be the institutional custodians. And then they started to add it to their balance sheets, actually. So once again, an insider taking advantage of it. Of course, this one being BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, all eyes on BlackRock and whether or not they're going to launch an XRP ETF. You guys can let me know down in the comments down below. Is the XRP ETF going to be delivered to us by BlackRock? Or do you think Larry Fink said to Charlie Gasparino that he can't talk about it, right? That was the tell right there for me, was if you weren't going to do it, you would just say no. The fact that you can't just come out and say no tells us that you're at least thinking about it. There's at least a conversation being had. And I'll tell you, there was some interesting conversations being had at XRP Las Vegas in regards to BlackRock and in regards to ETFs and some other things too. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Speaking of Vegas, John Deaton gave me the most moving session out of all the speeches and all of the sessions that we had at XRP Las Vegas for sure. And we get an update from John today. Steps away from the U.S. Capitol, I signed a pledge to pass legislation that amends the Constitution and places term limits on members of Congress. Washington is dominated by career politicians like Senator Elizabeth Warren. And she's the poster child for corruption. She went to D.C. to fight big banks. Now they're writing her bills. Senators should be limited to serving 2 terms, which is 12 years. That's still quite a bit of time. You should be able to get something done in 12 years. And House representatives to 3 terms, which would be 6 years. We are a government by the people for the people. Voters in Massachusetts are tired of the dysfunction in Congress. You deserve a senator who will fight for your interest, not special interest groups. Now, you know what's interesting about term limits? This is actually something that I know people want to do age limits and they want to do term limits. Here's the thing. If somebody's failing, we need to be able to get them out. We need to be able to get them out. And I don't know if term limits is the answer. I do see the abuse of term limits by the likes of Elizabeth Warren. But then I also see one of my favorites, the OG, Ron Paul. He served in Congress for what, 20-something, almost 30 years? And he was one of the few advocates that we've ever had up there for sound money, talking about, can we at least get an audit of the Federal Reserve? I mean, I think that his 20-some, maybe even 30 years of service was well spent, So I question on term limits. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Should we have term limits? John Deaton wants to propose here 2 terms for senators at 12 years total for senators, and then 6 years total for House of Representatives, which would be 3 terms. So you'd have to be elected 3 times. Yeah, you guys let me know. Let me know what you think of age limits too. The reason why I'm not also against age limits is because some of these old geezers, I'll call them old geezers with all due respect, they've made it. And they have a bunch of money, and that's what makes them where they can't be bought and they can't be bought and paid for. And they're near the end of their life, so they don't care about it's about legacy now. It's about actually making a change. And they have no filter when they're 60, 70 years old, and they'll say whatever. As long as they're still sharp, I don't see why, we have to have an age limit necessarily. I mean, we got some folks that are 70 plus years old. My mentor, Dan Pena, is 76. He's not as sharp as he used to be 20 some years ago when he started giving seminars. That's for sure. He's not as sharp. He's not as quick. He's not as slick. But is he fit to serve? Absolutely. And in fact, he's running right now in Angus, a county in Scotland. He's actually running, and he's going to go shake it up. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Now, speaking of shaking it up, well, we got Brad Garlinghouse and Team Ripple donating another $25 million contribution to Fairshake. Is an investment in the inevitable march of progress and adoption of crypto and blockchain technologies, the future of finance, and a message to backward-looking politicians that their failed policies will not be tolerated. And he says it's critical that the U.S. catch up with other leading economies and develop sensible and clear rules for crypto. So another $25 million to this political action committee, Fairshake. Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Officer, chimes in. Crypto has emerged as a pivotal issue in the 2024 elections. Ripple will continue to support policies and policymakers that move the U.S. forward. We must catch up to other major global centers that have committed to clear rules of the road for the industry, and I couldn't agree more. And I love to see Ripple making an investment with their money in such a way. I believe that's money well spent. Money well spent right there. Another 25 big ones for Fairshake. I haven't looked into their, political action committee completely. I really haven't looked at it closely at all. But I'm just going to assume that, just knowing Brad and the team there, what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve, this is money well spent. We got to get some real change happening in the DC situation. Speaking of the legal situation, we get the update from James Phelan right here. Response from Ripple, filing a reply letter in further support of its motion to seal documents in connection with the SEC's motion for judgment and remedies. Now, I'm going to read this off here for you guys, just a couple of the key parts. So they submit this and they say, first, the SEC argues the information about Ripple's current financial conditions is important to the court's determination on remedies as to Ripple's historical conduct. As Ripple explained in its opposition to the SEC's remedies motion, that is incorrect. Ripple is not arguing it may be unable to pay any measured penalty. We know they got cash. We know they got XRP. That's not a problem, right? And there is otherwise no reason to believe that Ripple's current financial statements from years after the challenged conduct are relevant to the court's analysis. The SEC should not be able to force disclosure of Ripple's, this is key, highly sensitive, confidential financial information merely by raising arguments that have no basis, especially where the court can reject those arguments without considering any of the highly confidential facts. Highly confidential facts. Now, and it's just so true. I mean, Ripple's business practices here, there's no merit here to go off of. That the deals that were done after, right? They say after the highly sensitive, after years after the challenged conduct is what they say, right? So after the lawsuit was filed, right, we had ongoing sales that were done in a different manner, in a different form, in a different structure, and we don't need to open up everything here for the SEC when they have no legitimate basis for this. Secondly, the SEC incorrectly asserts that Ripple's historical contracts have no continuing relevance because Ripple has changed how it sells XRP, far from being stale information as the SEC asserts. Which is funny because basically in this, Ripple's acknowledging, hey, the SEC has acknowledged that we have changed the way that we sell XRP. What does that mean? It means that the ongoing sales aren't investment contracts. And you know that, Judge, and the SEC knows it because they're acknowledging it right here. They want to show how strong Ripple's financial position is so that they can get a bigger fine. They want to be able to get sympathy from the judge. Look, Judge, look how much money they made by breaking the law here. Well, Judge, maybe take a look at how much these institutions made because they all made out really, really well. Not only did they not lose money, no, they made a lot of money. And they were very happy to do those deals with Ripple. Ripple explained through the declaration of its chief financial officer that the terms of its contracts are confidential and future counterparties would gain substantial leverage from learning all of the individually negotiated terms of Ripple's past contracts. This is every business's deal, right? The deal that I've struck with this client does not need to be disclosed with this client, right? It doesn't matter if I'm selling the same product, the same service. Environments change, businesses change. Situations arise, and it's totally appropriate to have a different deal for one customer than for another. Now, when it comes to securities, laws, right, then you are supposed to disclose this. But as Ripple continues on here, the judge ruled that XRP in and of itself was not a security. So the price at which the asset was at the time of the sale is irrelevant to this matter. Basically, the deal, the price at which we offered it to one institution versus another is irrelevant to what we're talking about in this case. As Ripple explained in its oppositions to the SEC's remedies motion, which the SEC does not contest in its sealing opposition, Ripple is no longer selling XRP through over-the-counter transactions with the characteristics that the court determined were institutional sales at summary judgment. Confirming here once again that they've changed how they sell XRP. They are not dumping on us. You cannot allow anybody to say that anymore. They are not dumping on us. It's just a fact. Ripple's current sales of XRP to customers for use in connection with Ripple's ODL product do not have any of the relevant terms of the over-the-counter contracts, such as discounts offered to sophisticated counterparties. Ripple's remedies, and they cite there, but that does not mean that the terms of past contracts are commercially irrelevant to Ripple's current business. See, they're still relevant to their current business, but they're not relevant to determining remedies in this case. And they cite a case law here where confidential business information dating back even a decade or more may provide valuable insights into a company's current business practices that a competitor would seek to exploit. So, it's totally reasonable, the argument that Ripple is making right now to seal this up. And in fact, I know that I said that I want the SEC to win so that I can see. I really don't. I want Ripple's, privacy to be respected. They are a private company, and as a matter of the law, and I stick to the law, and it should be fair in all cases, Ripple's privacy should be respected here. I know everybody wants to see, how big of a discount were they giving? Were they giving it at a 5% discount, a 10%, or more of a discount? We would all love to see that, but that's Ripple's business. As much as we want to see it, it just doesn't matter. Their privacy needs to be respected. Nor is the SEC correct to argue that the price of XRP in other specific contractual terms in Ripple's over-the-counter contracts with sophisticated counterparties would have been required to be publicly disclosed, even if they had required registration with the SEC as investment contracts. See, that's the point, is even if, we have to register these investment contracts and these sales, it doesn't mean that we have to disclose the price of, who we sold this security to here versus who we're selling it to here. This is a privately offered security. It's not a public offer. So we don't need to disclose the price to every single person that we sell it to. The court ruled that the digital asset XRP is not a security, and so the price at which Ripple sold XRP was not the same as the price at which Ripple sold the investment contracts described in the court's summary judgment order. As such, the price of XRP in the contracts at issue here is not the price at which it is proposed that the security shall be offered to the public. As I was saying, this is not going to be offered publicly. It's not a public security. Price doesn't need to be revealed. For these reasons, and for the reasons set forth in Ripple's motion to seal, the court should grant Ripple's narrowly tailored request to seal the confidential, non-public information submitted in connection with the SEC's motion for remedies. So, you guys let me know in the comments down below how you think the judge is going to rule on this point. Are we going to get Ripple's secrets revealed? Are we going to get to see how much they were discounting the price of XRP to their institutional partners? And as I've always said, I want that. I want institutions coming in. I want institutions to use it. If we can give them a little bit of a deal to help incentivize them coming in on the XRP ledger, that's what we have Ripple for. That's what we want them to do with this escrow. Be responsible custodians of the world reserve digital currency and distribute it effectively. That's what we want. You guys let me know in the comments down below how you think this one shakes out. All of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. And if you appreciated this update, please tap it for me, share it out far and wide, and I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. Thank you. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.